Hey everyone, this is Eric Silvermoon and welcome to Silvermoon Wednesdays. So I'm super excited about this. I think this might be the second video that I'm doing, but um, a video, kind of like a how-to video or talk about either spell work or things in my magical practice that I wanted to share with you guys in the way that I kind of do things personally. So I recently, like within the last 20 minutes, was in some deep releasing energy kind of stuff because today was really crazy in the sense that not necessarily things happened, but it was just energetically, I was so drained and I was already over it. It's almost like it was already Friday and I just wanted it to be a weekend already. So after releasing all that energy, I finally just kind of toned down. I feel really good. I have a nice glass of wine, which I'm going to take a sip. So good. There's going to possibly be a new YouTube video. You could call yourselves the Tipsy Witch or something. But yeah, so today I wanted to actually talk about tarot and oracle cards and how in my practice and personally how I cleanse and store them, about how I personally choose and select oracle and tarot cards. So a little bit of history with my experience with them. I have more of a background using oracle cards than tarot. I would say tarot, I might have maybe almost 2 years under my belt using tarot. And just a year of that with actual using it with clients. Excuse me. So oracle cards I use all the time. And the way that I kind of select a card, I'm a huge Amazon review person and I love Google. So I have to review cards before I actually purchase it. It's really important for me to be stimulated visually. And so if I see a card that only, one card resonates with me, I won't purchase the deck. I'm not necessarily a big collector in that sense. I do have, hold on, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. So I guess it could possibly be with 14 decks, and then working with a new tarot deck that I'm creating. I guess that will be my 15 decks. But but I use them, and so when I start choosing the decks, I like to review them. I like to see the images. I kind of like to, if possible, if I go to like a nice little witchy shop and they have the, just the samples. Those, it's very rarely when you see a witchy shop that has sample decks open, so you can kind of go through the images and see how they resonate with you. I'm really big on, as many of you know, angels, and so I resonate a lot with Doreen Virtue decks. I resonate with pretty much anything that has wings, so fairy decks I really resonate a lot with. And so the deck that I'm going to use today, just to give you an example, almost like an example for today, is my personal deck that I created, which is Tribal Magic Oracle cards. Which you could actually purchase in my shop, which I believe there's only 3 left. And then usually I order 6 at a time. And they tend to go very quickly. So I think I'll put a link below this video if you're interested after viewing them today. Take another sip of wine. And I just started, so I'm not tipsy or anything. And just, sometimes you just need a glass of wine. And why not? So once I actually select the deck and it just resonates with me so much or whatever, and I'll purchase it. And when it gets here, it's seriously like one of the most exciting things ever. Like I don't really purchase a lot of things online, so I don't get a lot of boxes that come to my house with my name on it. So whenever there is one, it's a very magical experience. So one of the things of course, I open it all up and I kind of admire the whole package. And so, packaging for me is very special. I love the look of a really nice decorative box, even though that I don't normally keep them, but I like the look of them. And then I like the way it is packaged inside. I do kind of like to see the guidebook. I don't go based on the guidebook when I do my readings. I kind of like to, almost like when you're just reading a book, you just kind of read through it and look at the cards to kind of see, you know, where the author and illustrator were interpreting or what their message was supposed to convey. And for me, once I go through that, then I really don't keep that little book either too much. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But, you know, once I go through it, then I'm like, okay, you know, it's time to make it my own. And so what I do is that, so let's say that the box it came in, so I open it, and of course I always keep crystals in mine. I always keep a pair of citrine and amethyst in there. So we'll take this out. And this box I bought at Michael's. It was like $3. I have all my tarot cards in here, and my cards, they're huge. They're a big, hefty hand. I have big hands, so it's a big card, and so it fits in here. So if you have like a little card, like if you have like a card with a little book, if it's not a tarot deck, the book will fit in here as well. So I thought these are great, and it fits crystal, so fantastic. So once I get it, what I like to do is I like to fan them out, and I like to hold them in my chest and put both of my hands on them, and I do a prayer. And normally what I do is I call in my entire spiritual tribe. I ask that they be with me in this moment as I cleanse and bless these decks. I ask that any and all energy tied into the manufacturers, any hands that have been handling during the process of it getting to me, I ask that it be clear now. I call upon Archangel Michael to come and cut any art cords that's attached to this, and I usually do this motion in front of the cards, and that cuts and removes any art cords. And art cords, let's say if, you know, or when I do a reading for a client, there's think of it almost like an umbilical cord of energy tied to this person in session or after even each meeting at the end of your day from all the interaction with people. Cut those cords. Ask Archangel Michael to step in and help you remove those, because, you know, it's just it's good to end those so you're not constantly, you know, interacting even though you're not together. So I do that to the cards. It kind of releases any hands that have been, I guess, handled with this deck. Like I said, the manufacturers, the people that created the deck, to the mail person that delivered it, everyone, I clean it clear. And then once I get that energetically just blessed with a prayer, I put both of my hands over them after I desensitize them. I'll put my hands, both of them, on the cards, and I do my like personal thing, which is normally I assign the deck to what it's going to do. And so I always do that to any of my tools, and especially when it comes to, you know, like crystals, I assign them something. And so it's almost like you're programming them to do what you want them to do, or the way you're going to use them in your craft. And so with an oracle deck, this is an oracle deck, I let them know that I want to provide readings for my client as well for myself. Always going to be towards the highest good of all in accordance to free will. I ask that each reading be accurate, and I ask that that I have trust in the way that the cards come out and the message that I convey is the way that they're supposed to. That this is a perfect tool for me to be able to help people achieve their highest form of healing in whatever manifestation that comes in. And so that's what I assign to each of my decks, the same message. And once I do that, then the fun part comes in. And that's when I really sit with each card. And so I'll show you. And so, you know, it's really important for me to hold the cards. This is the angel card. To hold each one so that my fingerprints and energy are on them. And this is my release card. And all of them are really pretty. They're, and I'm not saying that just because I did the artwork and everything, but, you know, it resonated with me at the time with what I needed. And so, you know, I'll just keep touching each card. This is the Worth card. This is Teacher. This is another angel, which is the Fly card. Then I have Lotus. And, you know, as you can tell, like they're all male energy. This is one of my absolute favorite ones, which is Love. They're all masculine energy. So, and there's some, you know, because I'm gay, so I have some men. I'm in action. So this is the romance card, and you know, it's great. And there's some kind of sexy ones too, if you want to call it that. But I have the wild card, which is a little bit, you know, provocative. You know, it was important for me to create this deck. So once I go through it and I touch every single card and I kind of sit with it and make it my own, you know, I once again put it in my chest and I thank it. I thank it for it choosing, in a sense, even though you kind of go in and you kind of choose the deck yourself, but there's a reason why you aligned yourself with it. There's something you recognize a vibration. Just when you're choosing like a crystal, there's a reason why you choose a specific crystal, because even some people, when they say, well, I could never feel the energy from a crystal when I hold it, I was like, but you could sense it because you're attracted to its energy when you purchase it in the first place. Same thing with Oracle and Tarot decks. There's a reason why you purchase, because you felt it visually and energetically before you even got a chance to touch it. So those are powerful. So once I do that and once I sit with it, I kind of allow myself to feel each card, then I end up putting it into the box. And so in the past, I've had so many different things. I have from like little satchels, and I'll put like the crystals in them. I've done in just like a cloth, wrap them in the cloth, and you know, there's many different ways. And so what I like to do is I'll put them in the box, and I always like putting crystals in it. I don't always use amethyst and citrine. Like I have one of the other decks that I use all the time is Indigo Angels by Doreen Virtue, and that one I keep a rose quartz and amethyst, because that deck is very gentle and very loving, and it is, you know, so I kind of feel out the energy of the card. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna put some very special trinkets in here, so that it kind of helps all that energy in there, and it makes it my own. And so what I'll do is I'll put the crystals, and I just kind of have it like that. And what I like to do is that I like to keep it in my bed area, where I'll be able to have it around where I sleep. I'm very fortunate that the headboard that I have, which some of you might see my my post on Facebook, I have a headboard that has two like big shadow boxes that I could store things in it. So I have my little altar above my head, and so whenever I get a new deck, I like to keep it by my bedside for 3 nights. And the reason I do 3 is just because the number 3 is very sacred to me. I'm taking a sip of wine. Or I could always keep it here for I don't know, just this accessory. 3 is very sacred to me. I've always resonated with 3. Things always happen to me in 3s when it comes to like receiving signs and stuff like that. So I normally always ask for confirmations in 3s. So work for me. Whatever works for you, go ahead and do that. Like I always say, whatever resonates and whatever feels right to you, do it. And so that's pretty much how I do it. And once, well, actually lately, as soon as I cleanse it and do my prayer, I feel that it is ready to use now. But I'll use it now, and I'll still use it on myself and for clients, but I'll still keep it with me in the night for those 3 nights to kind of have our energies intertwine and kind of marinate, so we kind of get to know each other. And so it's really nice, and that's why it's really important for me to pick specific decks, because I know that I want to use them in my practice. And so when it comes to kind of creating, and I was looking at my decks, but when it comes to kind of me pulling specific decks to use for a client, I do my desensitization in my hands, and I kind of go over all the decks that I have out, and I feel the one that makes my hand tingle the most. I always get a very hot sensation or a very cool sensation when it's not the deck that I use. And so usually I call in the client spiritual team and their tribe, and I kind of put my hand out. I'm like, okay, this is a deck that I'm going to use today. So far, the 14 decks that I have, I use, you know, pre-interchangeable. But So I use it all the time. But I did want to talk to you about my personal views on tarot and oracle cards, because someone asked me, what's the difference? What are my thoughts about it? And my personal experience with oracle cards tend to be very loving and very gentle. They're almost like sweet messages. If you think of like a rose quartz, it's almost like that bubble bath for your soul, as Kimmy, the little witch, I always mess up her name. I'm so sorry, Kimmy. She says that about rose quartz, and that's how I feel about oracle cards. They're very soothing to the soul. Their messages are never blunt. They're very honest, and they're very linked to our emotions, and so it makes us feel good sometimes, and it makes us moments. And that's my experience with oracle cards. And usually the imagery in oracle cards are very powerful and very gentle, especially if you work with angel cards. They do tend to be very soothing to the soul. For those that have the Doreen Virtue decks, they're very soothing. Hang on a second. And with tarot decks, again, with my experience, they're a little bit more in depth. It's almost like oracle cards would give you like a nice little sentence. Okay, got the message. Thank you so much. It's that very quick message, affirmational kind of thing. With tarot, you could really get a full-blown message and a breakdown, very detail-oriented. It could be very blunt at times. So with tarot, I feel like it's very honest and raw when I do the message for the clients, or for myself too. Like, I always feel like if I just, I don't want any BS. I just want everything that I need to do, what my action plan is. I'll do a tarot spread, and I kind of read them. And the way that I do, the way that the messages come to me, they come to me in full sentences and paragraphs, and I kind of connect the cards to kind of type in my message. And I mentioned before that the way the messages come to me is through automatic writing. So that's why I resonate really well with email readings, because I can sit, look at the card, and start typing, and the messages just flow that way. I do readings, which they tend to be around like 30 minutes, and it's just conversation, suggestions, stuff like that. But through email, I feel like that's my strength. And so usually when I do a tarot card reading, like I said, it's very in depth, it's very real, it's very raw, it's to the point sometimes, and like, again, it could be very blunt, but everything that I do is always for the highest good of all, and it's always to promote the most healing. Sometimes healing doesn't necessarily mean that it is what you are wanting to hear, but rather what you are needing to hear. And so that's one of the things that I never second guess myself when it comes to pulling the card, because before I pull a card, I always tell myself, whatever card that comes out is the card that it needs to come out. I have to have full trust in that whatever card that I will pull is because it was divinely guided. And so that way, it's always good for me to do that, because I just have to deliver the message. I have to take myself out of it. And as a reader myself, it's never about me. It's never about, oh, is this person going to like me? It's me. It's just really me being a service to somebody so that they could get that divine message. And so when I do a reading for myself, it's very quick. I mean, it's like maybe like 2 or 3 cards draws, and I'll be like, okay, great. That's the message for myself. Put it on my altar, and I'll come back to it at the end of the day to see if it manifested in some way, or if it resonated or aligned with the day. But with the reading with the client, it's a different connection, because you're connecting with their spiritual tribes, and they're meeting your spiritual tribes, in my experience, and they have almost like a gathering of how they want to deliver these messages that's going to promote the best, most healing for this person. And it's always different. It could be oracle, it could be tarot, and it depends on the client. It depends on how they want to receive those messages, whether they be very gentle or they be very blunt. And not to say that tarot can't be very gentle, very sweet cards, but even those sweet cards, they do have a very strong message. And, you know, so it's a very powerful moment, either or, but I tend to like to use now, I should say, tarot a little bit more. So the tarot deck that I'm creating right now, I finished the illustrations. I finished drawing the 78 cards. I'm in the process of painting them right now. And I highly recommend for those that want to create your own decks, just do it. You don't have to be artistic in the sense of doing your own artwork and drawing. You could do decoupage. If for those of you that watch Kellyanne and follow her with the Four Queens, she does absolutely stunning, breathtaking collage with magazine. You know, it just like, I'm not sure if she uses only magazines, but anything she finds, stickers, printouts, it has this like very pop culture majestic magic to it. And so it's brilliant. And so I always think it's like that would have made a very great oracle deck, or that will be some tarot deck. And so there's this website that I'll try to link it below, but it's makingplayingcards.com. That's the service that I use to make my tarot decks. And all it is, it manufactures them into the actual cardstock. I'll show you. So this card, and so I personally went on my Photoshop and made the borders and the font, and I did the back. This was my artwork, and then the borders I did myself. And so all you're doing is just getting that image and adding it into a card, and they just print it out for you in a cardstock. This is the big size because I like big decks. I tend to not like the little ones too much. But they have the normal tarot size decks, and then they have the medium size, and then I got the I think it's called the jumbo large. But let me double check. Let me make sure that it is Make Your Playing Cards. I think it is called. So let me double check, just because I want to make sure that you guys have it. And I'll link it below. But it's okay. So it is. It's makeplayingcards.com. And so you Google in there and you kind of see what the different prices they have. They put them in really cool boxes for you. You can customize those boxes, and they make really great gifts. And so it's pretty awesome. And so hopefully you guys kind of took something of value today. I know that I always talk in kind of a tangent, and I'm kind of random sometimes, but you know, I really appreciate all the comments and the connections that I have been making with all of you. It's been I always say it, but I just feel like I always have to say it because I don't know when it's going to end. And it's not like I want it to end. Everything has been amazing, and I've met so many good friends and people for this, and so I really appreciate you guys' time that you have taken to acknowledge me and what I do and to support me. I mean, that's huge for me, and it means a lot to me, so thank you. So again, I hope you liked today's discussion on tarot and oracle and how I cleanse and you know, kind of put them together. And if you guys have any questions, please ask me. I know that these tend to be maybe 30 to 40 minutes long, but you know, we could always continue the conversation on the comments on YouTube or message me on Facebook. You could always find me on my personal Facebook under Eric. I tend not to post too much in there because I'm always on my actual business on Eric Silver, but feel free to add me. I mean, I'm always happy to add new people and to interact, and you know, I respond as quickly as I can, and so hopefully we'll connect in those kind of ways. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. For those that are going to watch it later and record it on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week, and I'm going to post a Saturday video, but I think I might do it on Friday because Memorial Weekend, my family's coming down, so I don't want to be rude and film while they're there and have them in the background. So I'll probably do it on Friday, maybe upload it on Saturday, or I'll upload it maybe Friday. But again, thank you so much.